the stunt I thought was very interesting. How
The barrel roll.
yeah, because it's iconic. There's one bit that it could be 10 out of 10, and you know what I'm going to talk about. It could be 10 out of 10, but what happens? Someone in the sound department goes, "Woo!"
What is it?
Why have they done that?
Like a penny whistle or something.
Yeah.
It's called.
Why was that? You've taken something that was, you could have just done silence, and everyone would be like, "That's
Whoa.
incredible."
Yeah. Did they want to just keep it light-hearted? I don't know. Did they want to make some humour because it's Peppa's in the car?
I don't know.
know.
I mean,
I'm sure there's alternate takes where they have the John Barry score over it, but then they decide in the end.
I think silence is probably best. It's just silence because it works. Because you do hear J.W. Pepper scream, which is funny, but you didn't need that noise. I'd like the fact that they custom built the car for this.
Right.
So they took a car. There was a stunt driver who could do the stunt, but in a very controlled environment.
Okay.
And they actually put this through a computer simulation.
Oh.
I didn't think you got that back then.
Computers back then.
There was like a big company that did a computer simulation of the weight of the car, the size, the speed, did it at the angle, and said, okay, this is the angle you need of this ramp, this angle here, this is the weight. So they had to take the car, which was a Mustang.
It's a Hornet.
A Hornet. So they took a Hornet, they cut it right in half.
Okay.
They extended it by 6 inches, so they made it longer. They then had to take weight out, so the thing was perfectly balanced on both sides.
Right.
So the driver is actually face down in the car.
Okay.
Their face is there. Their feet are behind them, operating the pedals, and they're steering like this. Now he's completely in black, and he's completely painted in black, so you can't see him. And at either side is completely like exact weighted mannequins of James Bond and J.W. Pepper.
Okay.
So when they hit this stunt, everything's to the letter. The speed's exact, the weight is exact, and that's why it works so perfectly and lands. And apparently, when it worked and that's the take, Guy Hamilton said that's a bit too perfect. That was flawless.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like, it didn't, take bits off the side or maybe just miss it, and there was no edge.
Oh yeah, it just
And
cleanly worked.
he went to the stunt guy and says, I think we'd quite like to do that again. And the stunt guy said no. He's like, I have never done that before. I have done it once and I'm never doing that again. And they used that take. But you think it's just, it's a ramp and there's another ramp and we'll just see what happens. But they worked.
So
they only had one take for it. Apparently the driver was, because it was going to flip, the driver was in because he was lying flat, kind of like what I imagine like Batman on like that bike thing.
That's how I'm imagining it.
Yeah, he was lying like that, completely painted in black, but he had a harness in 3 spots. But because it was a river, if they said if this goes in the river, he can't get out. He will just drown. So they had divers in the river and they had a crane. And what was going to happen is the divers were actually holding on to the hook for the crane. If the car went under, they would swim to the car, hook it on the crane, because that's the fastest way. It was faster than pulling him out. They thought, we're going to have to pull the entire car out. And everyone was watching this and waiting to see what was going to happen. And it wasn't like trial runs. It was like, we need to do this because if we ruin this car, we're back to drawing board. We need to build a new one or try and repair this. We've killed the driver. The only guy in the world that can do this.
For the family.
And so I thought that's like old school stunts.
Yeah, in fact it's real. It's like Chris Nolan, real. Everything's real.
Yeah.